Okay, so Crawley Town have decisively beaten Leeds United 3-0. You wouldn't think there was over 60 league places between them. You wouldn't think that the Crawley Town are a League Two side on this performance because they decisively outplayed Leeds United. And in the first half, Leeds had a lot of the ball. And I think Crawley Town set up in a way where they didn't mind that. They knew they were going to have to give up possession and play a containment style and a frustrating style. And they did that because Leeds didn't really show a lot going forward. If I'm honest, they looked pretty toothless in attack. One or two chances, but nothing where the goalkeeper is being forced to work. Plain and simply. Defensively, we know Leeds give away a hatful of goals, and actually Crawley Town as well have been a bit leaky in defence this season at times. So I was expecting goals in this game. I wasn't expecting Leeds United to not score, and I wasn't expecting Crawley Town to decisively win 3-0. They were pushing for a fourth, bearing in mind by the end of the game they wanted more. And they could have got more, if I'm being brutally honest. Sorola's goal on 50 minutes, his first senior goal. He was released by Tottenham. He did have an unfortunate car accident, and Tottenham decided to release him from their youth system. It could be interesting if Tottenham get through to the next round and Crawley meet them in the next round. That'd be very interesting. But Sorola's goal is very, very good. It's his individual goal, in all honesty, because where he picks the ball up, he shouldn't be having an opportunity on goal from the position he's in. But he beats 3 or 4 defenders before getting the shot away. Maddison scores 2 minutes, 48 seconds later. And this is where the goalkeeper has had a complete mare on this one. The ball bobbles through him. That shouldn't be happening, but it did. But both goals were similar in a way that Leeds couldn't deal with the long ball. They couldn't win the second ball. And when the ball gets to the attacker's feet, they're allowed to go on a run and then get their shot away without being shut down. And so that's poor defending as well. There's poor communication between the goalkeeper and the defence. Which is, I think, a Leeds' weakness is, well, their defence, we know this. Tunnicliffe's goal comes because from a free kick set plays, Leeds were a shambles today. They couldn't clear their lines very effectively. And yes, the goalkeeper does pull off a very good save, but there's no urgency to win that second ball or block the ball, and it allows Tunnicliffe, a centre-back, to have an open net to blast the ball into. Yes, it's in the 6-yard box, but again, poor positional play by the defenders of Leeds. If you're looking at it from a defensive standpoint, if you're a neutral in this game, it was an entertaining Crawley Town performance. They played to their strengths. They kept a simple 4-4-2. They ran the channels. They used the long ball. They used crosses, set plays. They used their strengths very, very well. And defensively, they weren't really troubled because Bielsa, I don't know what tactics he was using and what formation he was using, but it didn't work. The players selected just looked out of sorts, frustrated, misplaced passes. Leeds United looked like the League Two side, and Crawley Town looked like the Premier League side today. That's quite simply it. I mean, they were outplayed, out-tackled, out-thought, out-fought. But the tactics were simple by Crawley. Have a simple game plan and stick to it. Let's not try and confuse things. A standard 4-4-2 with a little variation with one of the forward players dropping back to make a 5 in midfield in defence. They choked the midfield. Leeds could get nothing really going. And even after Tunnicliffe scored in 69 minutes, Crawley wanted a fourth. And they could have got it. If I'm being honest, they could have got a fourth, and then they could have possibly got a fifth. They were still wanting to have more. Leeds had no response. Those 2 goals on 50 and 53 minutes just did for them. They looked lost after that. They were going through the motions before that. They weren't really having any intensity on the ball, any pace on the ball. They were losing the 50-50 challenges. They were a team going through the motions. And Leeds are not a team that can scrap out a scrappy 1-0 win. They either win by a hatful of goals or they lose by a hatful of goals, or they have a high-scoring draw. There is no in between. They can't grind out a win. So I don't know where this leaves Leeds, but I will say this: yes, they had some changes. They did some squad rotation, but those players coming in, those fringe players who were trying to compete for a place, didn't perform very well. And those first-team regulars didn't perform very well, if in all honesty. And Crawley Town, they just kept things simple. High energy, a reasonably high press, choked out the midfield, and the counter-attack they did for them. Nichols, Matthews, Sorolla, Madsen, they had the Leeds number. Once they got to half time 0-0, I think they were full of confidence and Leeds were lacking some. But the third round, the curse of the third round, the giant killing round strikes again, and Leeds have had a pretty abysmal time in the FA Cup in the last decade or so. They haven't really done very well. They've had some shock defeats, much like Newcastle struggling to get out the third or fourth round. Leeds are another high-flying side in the aspect of the FA Cup. When you look at the league structure, to struggle in the third and fourth round and fail to progress, and they failed yet again. They've had some, like Newport County, Sutton United, they've had some shock defeats, and this is another one. Considering that when they play well, they're brilliant to watch and attack. Today there was no attack for them, and defensively, well, their defensive frailties have been highlighted yet again. I think Leeds will stay up this season, but there's got to be some hard questions asked in that dressing room, because I think Bielsa got the tactics wrong today, got his team selection a little bit off today, and they didn't have any energy. There was just no energy of this Leeds side today. They were just going through the motions, thinking that they can turn up and win, and they just couldn't. Crawley wanted it more. But there we go. That's the first game of the day done. Obviously, AFC Marine versus Tottenham is a game that I will be watching later, because you want to see the non-league side do something magical. And I think Spurs will be fully aware that they don't want to have a slip-up either. So it'll be interesting to see the Spurs line up and how they do in the next game. But I'm still a little bit in shock, if I'm brutally honest, with how Leeds performed. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.